Before reciting the Mahatma, directly in the Gospel, let's respectful obeisances unto Narayana Rishis, the most important, unto Mother Saraswati, our regular attendance in classes of Bhagavatam, and my rendering of services to all that encompasses the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service from the Lord's God. This praise and chanting the songs established as the irrevocable fact. So we're reading from chapter 3, chapter 22, verse 28 till the end of the chapter. And so this section talks about his name. Not Sarvabhauma. What's the name of the monk? Swayambhuva. Swayambhuva. I always remember Sarvabhauma on the Chaitanya. Swayambhuva. So yeah, we're gonna read about that. And once they have opulent, yes, first.
I think you're on the wrong verses. I think it's the next part of the. It's chapter 23, 1 through 11.
23.
Yeah.
Let's see what those verses are. Oh, that's good. These songs. I do trust that we just lost the sixth. That one with tiny, right? Yes. Oh yeah, you're right. Wait, it's 23, 1 to 11. Oh, that's for today.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So chapter 23, verses 1 to 11, and we'll find out what this verse is. There will be lamentation.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the translation soon. Yeah. Maitreya continued. Maitreya continued. After the departure of her parents, the chaste woman, Devahuti, who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love, as Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, serves her husband.
Oh, Buddha. Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love and with sweet words.
Working silently and diligently, she pleased her very powerful husband, giving up all lust, pride, envy, greed, sympathies, and vanity.
The daughter of Manu, who was fully devoted to her husband, looked upon him as greater even than Providence. Thus she expected great blessings from him. Having served him for a long time, she grew weak and emaciated due to her religious observances. Seeing her condition, Cardamma, the foremost of celestial sages, was overcome with compassion and spoke to her in a voice choked with great love.
Cardamma Muni said, "O respectful daughter Swayambhuva, today I am very much pleased with you for your great devotion and most excellent loving service. Since the body is so dear to embodied beings, I am astonished that you have neglected your own body to use it on my behalf.
Cardamom Moon continued, I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now, just look at them. I'm giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are.
Cardinal Moody continued, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? All material achievements are subject to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts very rarely obtained by persons proud of aristocracy and material possessions.
Upon hearing, speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devahuti was very satisfied. Her smiling face shining with a slightly bashful glance, she spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love.
Sri Devahuti said, my dear husband, O best of brothers, I know that you have achieved perfection and are the master of all the infallible mystic powers, because you are under the protection of Buddha, the transcendental nature. But you once made a promise that our bodily unions should now fulfill, since children are great quality for a chaste woman who has a glorious husband.
Yes.
Devahuti continued, my dear Lord, I am struck by excited emotion for you. Therefore, kindly make what arrangements must be made according to the scriptures, so that my sweet body emaciated through a satisfied passion may be rendered fit for you. Also, my Lord, please think of a suitable house for this purpose.
I think that's our verses.
Yeah, so we're sounds good, right? Ye me swadharma niratasya tapa samadhi.
Ye me swadharma niratasya tapa samadhi.
Vidyatma yoga vidita bhagavat prasada.
Vidyatma yoga vidita bhagavat prasada.
Nane te madanusevanaya varuddha. Drishtim prapasya vitaramya bhayan shokha. Yeme swadharma niratasya tapa samadhi. Vidyatma yoga vidita bhagavat prasada. Evate madanusevanaya yavaruddhan. Drishtim prapasya vitaramya bhayan shokha. Yeme swadharma niratasya tapa samadhi. Vidyatma yoga vidita bhagavat prasada. Anevate madanusevanaya varuddha. Drishtim prapasya vitaramya bhayan shokha.
Ye me swadharma niratasya tapa samadhi. Yatma yoga virita bhagavat prasada. Evate
ये मे स्वधर्म निरतस्य तमस तपः समाधि वेद्यात्मयोग विजिता भगवत् प्रसादा देवते मदनुसेवनया वरुधान् प्रपस्य वितरां नवया न शोकान्
ये मे स्वधर्म निरतस्य तपः समाधि वेद्यात्मयोग विजिता भगवत् प्रसादा तानेव तिमात् अनुसेवनरानरुद्यम् दृष्टिं प्राप्य विद्रयाम आद्यान शोकान्
ये मे स्वधर्म निरतस्य तपः समाधि वेद्यात्मयोग विजिता भगवत् प्रसादा देवते मदनुसेवया सेवनाया वरुद्रम् दृष्टिं प्रपश्य वितराम् अभयाम अशोकान्
Ye those wishes may by me, Swadharma, all religious life, Niradasya, fully abiding, Tapa, in austerity, samadhi, in meditation, Vidya, in Krishna consciousness, Atma Yoga, perfection of the mind, Vijayata, achieve, Bhagavad Prasada, the blessings of the Lord, Anya, Deva, Eva, Te, Vayu, Mat to me, Anusevaya, by your service, Aradhan, the Christian transformation, Prabhasha to see, Vidani, Amen, Amen, which are free from fear, Ashokan, which are free from meditation. Translation, Mr. Prabhupada. Together, Karadhamani continued. I would choose the blessings of the Lord to discharge my own religious life, austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you radiate my service. Now just look at them. I'm giving you the time and liberation to see how nice they are. That's pretty perfect. Devahuti engaged only in the service of Kardama. She was not supposed to be so advanced in austerity, ecstasy, meditation, or Krishna consciousness, but imperceptibly, she was sharing her husband's achievements, which she could neither see nor experience. Automatically, she achieved these graces of the Lord. What are the graces of the Lord? It is stated here that the graces of the Lord are abhaya, free from fearlessness. In the material world, if someone accumulates $1 million, he is always full of fear because he is always thinking, what if the money is lost? But the benediction of the Lord, Bhagavad Prasada, is never to be lost. It is simply to be enjoyed. There is no question of loss. One simply gains and enjoys gain. Bhagavad Gita also confirms this. When one achieves the grace of the Lord, the result is the sarva dukkhani, All distresses are destroyed. When situated in a transcendental position, one is free from two kinds of material diseases, hankering and lamentation. This is also stated in Bhagavad Gita. After devotional life begins, we can achieve the full result of love of Godhead. Love of Krishna is the highest perfection of Bhagavad Prasad, or divine mercy. This transcendental achievement is so greatly valuable that no material happiness can compare to it. Prabhupada Saraswati said that if one achieves the grace of the Lord Chaitanya, he becomes so great that he does not care a bit. Even for the demigods, he thinks of monism as hellish, and for him the protection of controlling the senses is as easy as anything. Heavenly pleasures become to him no more than stories. Actually, there is no comparison between material happiness and transcendental happiness. By the grace of Kardama Muni, Devahuti experienced actual realization simply by serving. We get a similar example in the life of Narada Muni. In his previous life, Narada was a maidservant's son, but his mother was engaged in the service of great devotees. He got the opportunity to serve the devotees, and simply by eating the remnants of their foodstuff and carrying out their orders, he became so elevated that in his next life, he became the great personality Narada. For spiritual achievement, the easiest path is to take shelter of a modified spiritual master and to serve him with heart and soul. That is the secret of success. As stated in Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur in his 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, Yasa Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, by serving or receiving the grace of the spiritual master, one receives the grace of the Supreme Lord. By serving her devotee husband, Kardama Muni, Devahuti shared in his achievements. Similarly, a sincere disciple, simply by serving a bona fide spiritual master, can achieve all the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master simultaneously.
So yeah, Devahuti has been sincerely serving Kardama Muni for quite some time, and because of that, her body is emaciated. And remember, she's a princess, not just any princess, but she's the daughter of Sambhuva, and his mother is they separate laws for the land, and not just any king. And she used to be so beautiful that when demigods would fly by, did you all cover that in cruise horses? And they would fly by the palace and see her, they would just fall from their airplanes.
Playing with the ball.
Yeah, she was playing with the ball, yeah. And they would see her just fall from the planes. Yeah.
How is she playing with the ball?
How would you play?
You know what
But yeah, and it's described also in the Bhagavatam or at least Prabhupada made a joke about it. Prabhupada said that in Kali Yuga, the demigods won't even come to earth to relieve themselves. So in that year, they saw they were losing falling from the airplanes. So here's the Luffy. And we see these examples in disciples and spiritual master also as in Narottam Das Thakur, famously wrote Guru Vandana that we sing, Guru Vandana that we sing every morning. Narottam Das Thakur was the son of a king. He was the only son of the king. And but he was very spiritual, he was very devotional actually. And when he was a kid, there was this guru who came by and he told him about Lord Chaitanya. And when he found out about Lord Chaitanya, he just fell in love with Lord Chaitanya, that story. And so when growing up, he's like, I'm going to go and I'm just going to go meet Lord Chaitanya. And then eventually he did go to Vrindavan. He left home, he left his kingdom, he left his, basically his throne, his right to being a king. He left and Vrindavan. And then, he found out Lord Chaitanya had left, and he found out Lord Nityananda's left, found out all the Goswamis have left, and it's just heartbroken. And then finally, there was Lokanath Goswami, who he took initiation from. And that was another story. So, as a sincere, humble disciple, he was instructed to take by Jiva Goswami
he was still there. I believe Rajiv Goswami instructed him to go take initiation by Lokanath Goswami. And so Lokanath Goswami had no disciples. And it was a simple mendicant, and he was the son of a king. And Narottam Das Thakur approached him for initiation, and Lokanath Maharaj said, "You're a son of a king, and I'm just a mendicant here without, I'm not going to initiate you, you know. I can't do that. I have no disciples. I don't take disciples." And so he said, "Please, you know, please, I want to take initiation from you. Please do that." And so Lokanath Maharaj used to go in the mornings to relieve himself when he goes somewhere, and relieve himself in the fields or something. And then, so Narottam Das Thakur started hiding and waiting for Lokanath Goswami to leave, and then he would go clean up that area. So the next day when Lokanath Goswami came, he saw, "Oh, it's cleaned up. Who cleaned this up?" So he said, "Okay." So he did it, you know, a few days went by, he saw every day. Next day it was nice and clean, pristine. And so I said, "Okay, this time I'm gonna, after I leave myself, I'm gonna hide it, and I'm gonna see who's doing it." So he hid, and he saw that Narottam Das Thakur was doing that, you know. And he was the son of a king, and that, you know, like Devahuti, you know, when you were born in the royal palace, you were pampered, you're taken care of, you get massages, you get the perfume and whatnot that comes with the palace, being the heir of a kingdom. So same with Narottam Das Thakur, but he was, what he saw value was, he saw value in Krishna consciousness. He saw value in this great devotee who we wanted to serve. And same with Devahuti, she saw value in serving Kardamani. You know, in Kali Yuga, it's described in the Bhagavatam, we're seeing in real life in today's age. It's described in the Bhagavatam that justice can be brought, for example. You know, if you have money, and you get away with anything. I think even in Mahabharata, that was one of the sins of the Kali Yuga, that a huge elephant, and he goes to the eye of a needle, but the tail gets stuck. So you can commit a huge crime, that you can pay enough money to get away with it. But if you're poor, you do a little thing, you know, little mistake, you get stuck. You see that practically in today's age in many countries, in the US and in Europe. Yeah, get money for the lawyers, you get away with things.
Tax the rich.
Tax, yeah. But yeah, they value these devotees, they will look at them from the side of they value spiritual life, they value that, yeah, this is the goal of life. This is the goal of life, to serve a great devotee who's advanced in the spiritual life, and we serve them, and then we ourselves make progress. And that's the only way to get bhakti. Like anything in this world, bhakti cannot just be bought. You know, you can't just buy a ticket to it. In the office, you can't buy a ticket to Vrindavan. So you can't buy a ticket to God consciousness. You can't buy a ticket to spiritual consciousness. You know, there's so many teachers and cheated out there. They do, and there's all these teachers. So all these grand courses and this and that, and you know, and they're afraid that they're really good at packaging and marketing things sometimes. You know, spiritual engineering, you know. And they do all that, and then there are all these people. And Prabhupada said that. He said that if I wouldn't ask for the four regulated principles, then I'd have millions of followers. You know? But you know, when you're selling diamonds, Prabhupada said, you will have very few buyers. And so Krishna consciousness is that diamond. And that's why we have the Bhagavatam and the light is great devotees, where we learn that this we see from the example, from Devahuti's example, to give one's life and soul to one's spiritual master, and she was seeing her husband as spiritual master, and giving her life and soul, helping him in his own devotional service. And the benefit of serving somebody who is so devoted, you know, Srila Prabhupada, and so devoted to their own spiritual master and to spreading Krishna consciousness, the benefit is that even if you don't have, you know, the intelligence or whatever, you know, one can say any qualities, or even if you don't somehow deserve it, you know, it comes through. It's simply the mercy of the spiritual master. It's simply the message of Prabhupada. When we serve, that's the quickest way. If you want to know the quickest way to advance in Krishna consciousness, the quickest and
sure shot way to grow in Krishna consciousness is you serve a devotee. You serve a devotee with your heart and soul. And when you do that, you get blessing. You get blessings. They bless you from their heart. And they might not even say it. They might not even say it out loud to you, but from their heart, they give, the blessings come. And the super soul in their heart gives us blessings. So you do any menial service with any devotee, really. You don't have to go, all right, are you finished, or are you like medium tier devotee or senior devotee, or really new devotee? You don't have to do that either. Go serve any devotee. Of course, it's really nice when you serve really advanced souls, of course, you get a lot of benefits. You just go out and serve with that mentality, because when you serve, even if you serve a brand new devotee, a so-called unified devotee, even if you do that, then the other senior devotees see you and they see, this is so nice. Then they give you blessings. So it's a sure shot method. It's a sure shot method to have that mentality of service, and you will get those blessings. And in the material world, people think, oh, I got to do all the service. What do I get in return? What's my pay? Your pay is, you go back to God. You don't have to do this crap again. You don't have to learn ABCD again. Isn't that good? You don't have to go to college again. That's your goal. You don't have to be born again, and then you don't have to be born again Christians. And praise that. Who was talking? Oh, Mother Prabhu was talking about last night. But sometimes some heavy Christians don't have to preach and so forth. But yeah, that's the beauty. There's this one pastime, Satyananda Maharaj was telling us about it. It's in a different Purana. And I believe it's a long time ago. I vaguely remember the story. I remember the essence. Amrish Maharaj, who's in the Bhagavatam, was a great devotee. He was there, but his brother was not so great. He was quite envious of saintly people. And so Amrish Maharaj was very sad about it. And he said, I really want my brother to, not go to hell, basically. And so he was asking Narada, what can be done? Can we please go talk to him? And Narada said, sure, let's go talk to him. And he said, Amrish, you asked him this question, what is the benefit? What do you think is the benefit of meeting a saintly person? So they go to him, they ask him, Amrish Maharaj brings out the money, and they ask him, what is the benefit of meeting a saintly person? And the brother goes, let me tell you the benefit. And he starts chasing them to beat them up, basically. And they start running. and then they go to Lord Brahma, they ask the same question. He didn't have an answer. And Lord Brahma and then Lord Shiva didn't have what's the benefit of meeting the saintly person. And then they go, well, let's go off Lord Vishnu. And then finally go to Lord Vishnu. And they ask, and all of them are there, this one, Brahma, Shiva, Amrish Maharaj, and that person. The brother of Amrish Maharaj was not so saintly. They asked Lord Vishnu, what is the benefit of meeting a saintly person? And Lord Vishnu looks at the brother. I think I'm not saying this word a little bit, but anyways, so the point is that why you got the Lord Vishnu somehow. and then they asked, I think it was two steps. Anyways, they first met the guy who chased him, and then he felt sorry, and then they went and asked these questions. What is the benefit of meeting a Vaishnava? And then they asked Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu said, this is the benefit of meeting a Vaishnava. You are in Vaikuntha. You have reached Vaikuntha. So yeah, that moment association with a saintly person. So what to speak of serving a saintly person. So oftentimes in our lives, when we do service, when we serve a saintly person, we don't realize, everything in life, even if it's material, the most precious thing is never easy. It's a phrase in Hindi where that's gold doesn't just become gold instantly. It has to be in the furnace for a long time. And same with diamonds, right? It has to be under a lot of pressure for a long time. So even in the material world, when people want something really, really of value, they have to work really hard for it. And it takes time. It takes time. And same goes for spiritual life, obviously, your spiritual life. Same goes for spiritual life. Initially, it might look like, oh, our progress is so slow. And, what's going on? Why can't I see the super soul between every atom? Yet, I've already been here chanting for 2 months. And so it initially feels that way. But the benefit is that our heart is getting clean, gradually. And actually, there's a lot of cleaning going on. Krishna inside the heart starts cleaning. And that happens, and it takes a little time. And as time progresses, we see, when you look back at a journey, and when you made a long journey, and you look back and say, oh yeah, I traveled 1,000 miles from here to there, and then from here to there, I did so many things, I saw so many places. So when you look back on our journey in Krishna consciousness, then you realize, oh wow, yeah, I did make so much progress. And then you realize, and I realize now that I'm very fallen. Bhaktisiddhanta said that when his disciples, some of his sannyasi disciples came to Marge, and they said, Marge, we feel like we're not making any advancement at all. And he said, the fact that you're feeling that you're not making advancement means that you are making advancement. That is a sign of advancement, and you realize that actually, I have so many issues, and I have so much progress to make. And that's when you realize that, yeah, actually, yes, that means you're making advancement in spiritual life. And that's the best position. Yeah, spiritually, that's the best position. Like, what can I do? What can I do? How can I serve more? How can I serve Krishna more? So Devotee is doing this right now, and I guess he hasn't revived her whole beauty yet. She's saying that, please, revive my beauty, because we want to have kids, and we can't be having kids as these renunciates. So he's going to do that. And yeah, so that's another thing. Prabhupada talks about in his whole life. When he came to the US, he came with 20 rupees or something, $7 essentially back then, and a whole case of Bhagavatam. And he had nobody. He had nobody here. He had one referral, Gopal, Agarwal, yeah, Gopal Agarwal. And do they remember how he got that referral? Remember? Gopal Agarwal, how he found out about it? Was it his dad? Do you know how he met his dad? It was just a train ride. He was going from somewhere to somewhere on a train. He sat next to Gopal's dad. They started talking, and Gopal's dad said, "Oh, I have a son in the U.S. If you're going to go there, if you're planning to go there, he'll." And the interesting thing is, it was a common thing his dad used to do. He would see all these different sadhus, and he would say, well, if you ever want to go to the US, here's my son. And he would constantly get these no objection certificates from his son for all these sadhus, and nobody ever showed up. So when Gopal Agarwal heard about A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, he was like, I'm not a Swami, he's not going to show up. But then he showed up, and then they had to, host him and everything. But yeah, Prabhupada didn't have anything. But he had the biggest wealth. He had the instruction of his spiritual master. Prabhupada, which he's referring to here. Actually, he's referring the exact words here. Yes, prasada, bhava prasada. So when he was reading the translations from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that famous was Eke Purnandana, one-pointed determination. Krishna says one-pointed determination. So in that purpose, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions this, yes, the prasada, bhava prasada. By serving the spiritual master with one-pointed attention, one receives the grace of the Supreme Lord. And so when Prabhupada read that, it affected him quite a bit. And it made his resolve even stronger. That my guru gave me this one instruction to go to the West. And so I'm gonna keep working on it. And so that Prabhupada talks about it, I believe, somewhere in a lecture, perhaps a conversation. And that really, struck out there. And so, yeah, he's referring that in this verse. So it's the wealth. The instruction of the spiritual master is our wealth. Instructions of the acharyas is our wealth. That is the real wealth. The material wealth will come and go. It comes of its own accord, believe it or not. Sometimes we might work super hard. There's all these people out there working really hard, but then they struggle to exist, to struggle to live, the struggle to get a living wage and so forth. And everybody has their destiny. And there's some people who just find money somehow somewhere. It's not random. They must have done something in their previous lives, and that's why now they're bearing the fruits of that. So money will come of its own accord. It's more or less predestined. It'll come. And you can work as hard as you want to get money. It might come, it might not come. But one thing is for sure, you serve a Vaishnava, you serve a spiritual master, like Devahuti did, then spiritual wealth will come. Krishna will send, of course. And sometimes he even sends wealth, material wealth, to assist our spiritual life. Sometimes he even does that. And we saw that in Dhruva Maharaj's case. Dhruva Maharaj was doing these austerities, and he was so determined, true Kshatriya. He was a true Kshatriya. And just angry, he got angry. He did a 5-year-old kid. And he was doing these austerities. And then he pleased his spiritual master Narada and Lord Vishnu came. Yeah, Narada gave him the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, and Lord Vishnu came. And when Lord Vishnu came, Dhruva Maharaj, this kid, he was touched by Lord Vishnu. He touched him with the lotus, with the conch shell, with the conch shell, and then because of that, he became self-realized. And you can remember what's the first thing he asked for? Dhruva Maharaj, here's Lord Vishnu, give him anything in the world. But what was the thing he asked?
Just not forget his beauty.
Was it?
Did not forget his beauty.
Oh, his beauty, yeah, there was that. Yeah, there was that, yeah. He asked, not to forget his beauty, and he asked for association of devotees. And when I read that, I thought, well, it's Lord Vishnu right here. He's getting association of Lord Vishnu, and asking for association of devotees. Because wherever there are devotees, they'll chant Lord Vishnu's names. And wherever they're glorifying Krishna, Krishna is right there. So you can have Vishnu perpetually if you're with devotees, if you're glorifying Krishna with devotees. And then finally he says, and then of course Lord Vishnu gave him the kingdom that he wanted and everything. They said, I was just asking for broken pieces of glass. So Krishna might give us something, something is material wealth. And sometimes we hanker so many things in this world. But it might come, might not come. But the true wealth is not to hanker. To be in a position where we are rid of that hankering and lamenting, as Prabhupada was pointing out. That's the true wealth. Yeah, there's people, that actually is the true wealth. And you don't have the hankering and lamenting. And you're able to focus on what Krishna sent you. How do you serve Krishna? How do you serve the spiritual master? There's no higher wealth than that, actually. There's no way to be peaceful other than that, really. Than would of service. And even if you go out there, you talk to people who are rich and philanthropists, they do it because they give away money because that actually brings them some peace. Because they're not just self-serving, greedy people. And over years, there's many rich people who realize actually the purpose of our world should be to serve people, to help people. And so that's on the material level, but also on the spiritual level. All the mercy we get, we can serve, we can help, we can dish it out to people. Go out on the streets and tell them, you're mine. Take some mercy. Here's some mercy. Please do nice things. That's all that. But that's and that really then pleases Krishna Master and pleases Krishna. So they will be here. She's serving Pradhamali. She served him. She served him so nicely. There's actually it reminds me of there's the Session Guru actually. Mati tells the story. Session Guru was the town president in Potomac Temple, late 80s, and she was a new wife, and she was serving Session Guru really nicely. She was helping a lot, and one day she was just so exhausted she fainted, and so that's when Session Guru he told her, you served me so well, you served here so well like devotees, and I'll make sure it'll be fine, it'll be taken care of. So then he went to law school and so forth. And the interesting thing is, he went to law school, right? He became a lawyer. He briefly worked in some nonprofit, but he started his own immigration firm. And then for years, he was able to do service along with his immigration firm. He was able to get GBC, he was able to, he did a lot of actually our visas and everywhere else in North America. He's done this. And so it's like, when one serves in according to the laws of Dharma, when one serves in a mode of goodness, and yes, he took care of Madhuvati once. She has a whole other story how she ended up in America and became a devotee, and how many of you know. And she was only 19 years old. She met the devotees in Ireland, and her parents were upset, and they just really didn't want
wanted to do it, and then she took a plane. She took a flight to America. She had met the TP of Philadelphia in Ireland briefly, so she had an invitation from him. She got here to Philly. She was nice, and she said, I'm here. And he said, who are you? He said I could come. I want to join the temple. This 19-year-old girl can join the temple. So yeah, when you do everything in a motor goodness way and dharmically, and following the law of dharma, then Krishna fulfills your desires. And Krishna gives you whatever it is your heart's desire. He gives you service, he gives you wealth, and whatever else. You see that in Shishapur's life. And yeah, so yeah, so that's the greatest wealth one can have. When we serve the devotees and we serve the spiritual master, that's the biggest wealth. Serving spiritual master, serving Srila Prabhupada. There's nothing else that can be had in this life. There's absolutely nothing else. Material world will come and go. It's flicker. So there are times in our lives when there's nothing. You have practically nothing. Go to the grocery store and your debit card doesn't work. There's those times, and then you serve, and then Krishna takes care of you. All right. Any thoughts, comments, questions? Yes, one. I thought you were going to say. Sarah? Oh, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I would say which one's more humble. Okay. There is one humble. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, along the lines of what you were saying about philanthropists, that, another difference that I thought of was that, usually when they're giving away their wealth, there is some kind of motivation behind that, which is recognition, or even if they're funding some kind of wing of a hospital or a school or something, they are trying to get some kind of recognition, for that. It's not usually to relieve themselves of their selfishness. And also, no matter how much they amass, it's never enough, no matter how much recognition they get, no matter how much money they give away. It's never satisfying, because of this motivation, because of this, almost like this Krishna-sized hole in their heart that they're trying to fill with themselves. They're trying to, complete themselves, thinking that they're the center of their own lives.
Yeah, it's like the more the goodness way to.
In ignorance, exactly.
Yeah, it's a good thing that they give, but yeah, it's tinted with passion also, but if they want recognition, for sure, yeah.
Hare Krishna, especially since you just got married. I was just talking with the devotee last night, and they brought up the CC and went to Leela, so I say, and about the dog pastime. And you were talking about even serving, like, just serving a devotee no matter what. And there was devotees once where Chaitanya went back to Jagannath Puri, and they all walked to Jagannath Puri from Bengal. I don't know how long that takes, but anyways, that's some really great, that's jack. Anyways, they found a dog, and I think his name is Shivananda Sena. He let the dog come along and would feed the dog, and then one day he didn't feed the dog, and then the dog wasn't there, so then he sent 10 men to go find the dog. And then they couldn't find the dog, and then Shivananda Sena was like so sad, so he fasted in that night, and then they ended up making it there, and then after they celebrated with where Chaitanya went back or something to where he was staying, and the dog was there. So the dog somehow found his way toward Chaitanya, and he was having the dog chant, and the dog was chanting, the dog chanted. And then the next day they didn't see the dog anywhere, and Lord Chaitanya sent him back to Vaikuntha. So I don't know, I'm just saying, it was just interesting because you're talking about like getting your desires met. And so this dog must have had some interesting desires, I guess, to have had this. But I just think it's really so sweet. You never know, no matter how low someone might seem from a perspective or something like this. Very true that you have such a deep sincerity. Yeah.
There was another animal. His name was, while he was initiated, there was this mad elephant. There was somebody who was envious of Narada Thakur. No, wait, not Narada Thakur, Rasikananda. And so they released this mad elephant go towards Rasikananda. And Rasikananda was Shyamananda Pandit's disciple.
in Orissa, and great preacher. And this elephant came running after him. And then Rasikananda just told him, why don't you chant Hare Krishna? Chant, be happy. Drink soda, basically. And the elephant looked up like, yes. He raised his, what's it called, the trunk, and then he bowed down, and Rasikananda initiated him. Gopal, gave him the name Gopal. And so all these animals, some of them are special. The little dog from the CC and Gopal Rasikananda's disciple. Yeah. He went back to him. He became he was less mad after me. Yeah, that's the sensation. Any other thoughts, comments? Yes, bro?
On the topic of Agarwal Senior, the father, you're from India. How, because it's so peculiar, how normal that is that somebody would hand out those invites to sadhus to America.
Yeah. It's not really that normal. Especially today's age.
It's almost like he was like God sent.
Yeah, for sure.
Mahaprabhu sent. Like, who is he?
Yeah, they just happen to sit next to each other on a train ride. What are the chances?
Yeah, who is he?
Yeah.
Thank you for the class. I'm totally blanking on what I had to say.
But that reminded me of think for a second, but also, Prabhupada's life, we see that how he was so industrious and he was so, he just wouldn't let any opportunity go. He got this person, Mr. Agarwal, got no objection certificate, and Srimati Morarji, right? He got to take it from her on the sailboat. He had met her originally in the 40s in Kurukshetra, and this was before he was sannyasi. We were just sitting, and there was some festival, and he was there, and she was there too. They were just sitting, and she actually had approached him. She saw her, she was a sadhu, she talked to him, and she gave him her visiting card. So he held on to it for 20 years, almost 20 years. And then he finally went to her, in the 60s. And just like so persistent. It's just amazing. And so Prabhupada tries so many things, I'm sure that other than these two people are all kind of lazy at, I'm sure he exhausted every single one of them. But it's just so persistent. It's just so amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so Devahuti is such an amazing example, and we're hearing about Devahuti. She's is such an exemplary servant. And yet she neglected her bodily needs. So I was just kind of confused on this point of because I just do you have any thoughts on that? Devahuti is the bar, but she's also letting herself get emancipated. So it's a little confusing to me.
Well, we see that often spiritually. I mean, when you really love and serve somebody, you put their needs above yourself. And so sometimes just out of love and dedication that can happen, that our needs are not met. But then, they do it happily. It's not like it. That's one thing in spiritual life. If one is totally doing it begrudgingly, the whole time, then maybe all right, maybe something needs to change. And but our goal is to do service in such a way so that we're doing it happily. But happy doesn't mean you're always materially comfortable. And that's the true, that's the true wealth, really, to realize that in service it's a privilege, and it's not just it's a privilege. Yeah, it's a privilege. And so sure, of course we don't want to totally destroy our health, for sure. And at the same time, I always love Vishnu Prabhu's bio. I think I mentioned this a lot of times. He says, hey, just take a baby step outside your comfort zone. Just one step. And that's what helps us grow in spiritual life and regular life also. So for us, we might not be able to do something like Devahuti did,
or many of the Ashtriya acharyas, we just take one step at a time for Kamsa. But when our mood is down, when we're totally disturbed, when we're like, I don't know, content or whatever, angry or, then we probably should go talk to him. Otherwise, there's no point of doing hard service begrudgingly for a long time, which makes our heart hard. And also another thing is to have a balance. I read this somewhere, it's a good point. I don't remember the source, but it's good to have a balance of kirtan, studying the scriptures, and service, physical service. Have those three in balance. If you just do physical service only, like all the time, hot becomes hard. There's so much austerity in service. Just if you just do that. If you just do kirtan all the time, then we might not value service. We might just be a little more sentimental. And if you just study Shastra all the time, especially this is I'm talking about in the initial stages of spiritual life, and if you just study Shastra all the time, just focus on that, don't think about everything else is useless, study Shastra, then we might become, more like jnanis, be proud of our intelligence. So it's good to have, especially initially, even for years also later, to have a balance of those three things, a good balance. And even when we do the physical service, it's good to do it with our heart, with the emotion that I'm doing it with love. This is, not just, and we feel it also, of course. When you do it, when you wash dishes, you don't think, well, I'm doing it. And you just do it with love. I'm doing this so long with dishes because somebody ate prasadam, some little jiva out there got prasadam, and now we get to wash his dishes and do this all over again. So we just do that with that book. But with her, she just did it out of love. But like all the disciples in our line, all the acharyas did it, but out of love. Prabhupada didn't neglect his health, he did. He severely neglected his health, and sometimes we might do that too. And but Krishna takes care of everybody. Health comes back.
Does it say that she became unhealthy?
Well, emaciated. That's what it says. Yeah, emaciated.
Emaciated means unhealthy.
No, yeah, super skinny. Not necessarily unhealthy. Yeah. That's what it means. Yeah. Thankfully, yeah. Our hair was,
Because the Swamis were also very skinny.
They were super skinny. Yeah.
But I think they were also plugged in a different. Different plug. So I think health. Was always.
Yeah, I think we should push ourselves as long as we're not completely disturbed by Krishna consciousness. If they come to that point where they stop, take a breather, and talk to your resources. Yeah, but we should push ourselves a little bit. Oh, yeah, sure. I will get breakfast here. That's what I'm